CKS learning series point of view. Next topic is restrict resource access with the AppArmor. So here CKS, I'm in a training.linuxfoundation.org CKS syllabus. Right, if you scroll down under the system hardening, apparently use kernel hardening tools such as AppArmor SecCom. So here, if you understand the sentence, use kernel hardening tools such as AppArmor SecCom. So here, kernel hardening, this is the most important topic with respect to the CKS point of view, right? So let's get into it. So basically, every Linux system, see, if you take any Linux system with respect to Kubernetes, right? So Kubernetes Linux system is maybe any node, worker node, which I will call it as a general term host. Every Linux host having a kernel space and user space. I am calling it as a user space. So basically, whenever you install any application in the Linux machine, it's called as a user space. Application means what? Any application, like a Tomcat server is an application, Docker is an application. On top of the Docker, we will have all the containers, right? So basically here, any application which is running on the Linux machine, it can access the kernel by using a system calls. That is called a basic fundamental of system call. So basically, calls will happen from user space to kernel space. Calls are different types of calls. Here, system specific calls, some of the calls are IO specific calls. IO specific calls in the sense input output, like opening a file, closing a file, writing a file. Touch means it will create a file, right? So this is an example. So if you touch means, if you touch and you give a path of say temporary directory, that means it will create a one file by using a touch command, right? So that's how the Linux operating system will work. That's called as syscall. Now AppArmor. So basically here they are talking about the AppArmor tool. Basically AppArmor is basically one of the tool, security hardening tool. So I'm in a GitHub page here under the system hardening, right? So here apparently use a kernel hardening. Everything is described here, whatever the commands I type, right? So if you look at the Kubernetes documentation for AppArmor, right? Right here. So basically AppArmor is a kernel security module. So as simple as that with respect to. So here Kubernetes point of view, AppArmor is a kernel security module. So in the previous slide we see this, right? Basically. So basically AppArmor here a kernel security module for Kubernetes. Basically what it does, AppArmor restrict a container access to resources. So only AppArmor talks about the access, only access. So that means in the previous example, say this is a one container, let's consider, and my container is trying to access the kernel space, some system folder, and trying to write the file, right? This is the access. So if you have a root privileges and if you have a read write access to the any say etc or any configuration directory, this application can screw up the things and your system may compromise by having such kind of a rights, right? So in the same way, basically here with respect to Kubernetes, here AppArmor tool basically it restrict the container access. Restrict access. So what kind of access? Linux capabilities. What the Linux capabilities means? A subset of root privileges. Say somebody is given a Windows system to me, I can go to system32 and do something if I log in. If he create a user for me like a GVR or anything, right? So I can log in as a GVR, but if I don't have access to system32 folder, then I won't be able to do anything, right? So that's such kind of restriction. And network access. So basically AppArmor is for network access, file permissions, and Linux capabilities of access related. So AppArmor is for these 3 points. So let's go to the next point. So basically what we are trying to achieve with the AppArmor here is basically we are trying to secure restricting the containers what they are allowed to do. So here our objective is definitely security. Security of what? System hardening. Under the system hardening, kernel hardening. So we are hardening the kernel by using a AppArmor. This AppArmor, what it's doing is it will restrict the container what they are allowed to do, something like that, right? So how it is possible? Basically, AppArmor, if you use this AppArmor tool, you need to create a profiles. So in the Kubernetes documentation, everything is defined here, right? So I will try to precise and explain. So basically, AppArmor is you will be creating a profiles and trying to achieve the restrictions of accessing. Now this AppArmor, what is the profile? Profile is nothing but a set of rules, right? So what you will do is you will create a one profile and you will create a one set of rule. What kind of a rule? Do not write access to the so and so folder, or do not do the write access to so and so directory. Such kind of a basic example. So if you look at the profile, how AppArmor will work, basically you will be loading a profile in the kernel and then that's it. You will be using in a Kubernetes. So basically this profile has a two different mode, enforce and complain mode. So we will see in detail in the next slide. So here point to remember is AppArmor is to restrict the container access, and this AppArmor will be restricting by using a profiles. That's a one thing to remember, and this profile will have a actual rule, what is a restriction and all. And then another point to remember is this AppArmor profile we need to load into the kernel. These are, and it has a two different modes, right? So here say AppArmor implementation. Say let's say we have a Kubernetes cluster, and as usual one master node and a two worker node here. Just an example, if we are on a EKS or any other GKE or AKS clusters, definitely master node won't be there, then only worker nodes. So no matter how many number of worker nodes, what you need to do? First of all, as usual, you need to install the AppArmor in your nodes, right? So basically in the current distributions like Ubuntu or RHEL, Fedora, any kind of Linux flavor already installed with the AppArmor. If it is not there, then it's a very simple to install. Number one. Number two, what you will be doing, you will be creating a profiles. Yes, that's what the AppArmor means. We will be creating a profile. Third is, once the profile is created, we will be loading into the system. That is called a enforce or loading. Then fourth one is, once a profile is loaded, you need to apply to the pod. Basically here we are talking with respect to Kubernetes. Kubernetes means a pod, so we are here applying to the pod. Then once it is there, that's it. Your containers, pods, containers, your system, kernels, everything is secure. So, and here one thing is to remember, when you load a profile, you need to load the profile in each and every node. Say I have a 2 node, you need to load into the 2 nodes. If you have a 3 nodes, yes, you need to do it in the 3 nodes. So that kind of automation you need to take care. Every time you create a new profile, make sure it will be deployed in all the nodes. So for that you need to create an Ansible playbook so that it will deploy in your nodes, right? Now next, what is a sample AppArmor profile? So in the previous slide we see AppArmor means profile and loading and all, right? So here sample profile is looks like this profile. It's a keyword, and this is a profile name. This is what the name. So by the way, this particular examples are taken from this is in a CKS guide, right, under the system hardening 3.3. yeah, apparently use a kernel hardening tool such as AppArmor Secom. So here 3.4.1, 3.4.2 is here AppArmor, right? So if you scroll down, there is a documentation, Kubernetes documentation. This is here, right? This is a documentation I am referring here. When you scroll down, there is a profile, is example. So this is about the same thing I copied here. So here my profile name is this, right? And inside the braces, you have to specify what is your rule, what you wanted to restrict the access. Here file deny /* write access. So I wanted to deny all the file writes. That's what this sample profile. So basically once you create the profile, you need to load, right? Load means you need to copy somewhere. So put this particular profile in some file and give some name and place it in a etc AppArmor.d. This is the folder where you need to place. This is a default path. You can say, is this a compulsory to keep it here? If you want, you can specify in other place as well, but the thing is you need to do the lot of changes. So better recommended place is to keep it here. Next, AppArmor has two different modes. I have created a profile and I have placed in this here. Now I have wanted to load. So when you are loading, two different mode. One is the enforce mode, which is by default. If you don't specify anything, it's enforce. As the name suggests, enforce mean whatever you mention here. Here I am denying right access to the files. Here enforce mode is basically it will do the job whatever you specify. Means it will enforce. It will execute this particular rule you mention. And the second is a complaint mode. Say you created one profile and you are activating as a complaint mode. As the name suggests, complaint mode. It will give you the complaint, but it won't prevent anything. So in the enforce mode, it will block you writing any file, but in the complaint mode, it will allow. But thing is, any violations will be logged into the system log. So what you need to do is you need to go to the system logs and check and monitor what happening in there and all these things, right? So now next, so now I have created a folder. So how I wanted to apply to the Kubernetes pod. So basically here, in order to apply to the pod, whatever you created the profile and already loaded, which is enforced, then applying it to the pod is very simple, which is you need to add annotation to the pod. How it looks, the annotation, I'm in a Kubernetes documentation. Just if you scroll down here, right, this is a pod, right, here there is an annotation, right? So let's see here, this is a pod. See, here is an annotation. Annotations under that container.apparmor.security beta kubernetes.io / and container name. So here in the pod definition file, my container name is hello. See, this hello should be mentioned here. That means this container name. So not a pod name, container name, right? And other colon is a key value pair, and here localhost / and this profile name, whatever my profile name. So here the thing is, here I am mentioning as a profile reference. What is this profile reference? Means where is your profile is located. So this profile is you can specify in 3 different ways. One is runtime default. So basically here Kubernetes supports multiple runtimes, Docker runtime, containerd, cryo, or many other container runtimes. So basically if you don't adopt this entire AppArmor, today's topic is AppArmor, right? If you don't adopt this AppArmor, by default every container runtime will basically, they have a default profiles. It's defined in that. So here basically we are more hardening. Here we are more hardening the system. That's what so if you don't want to use this, I wanted to use a runtime default, you can specify runtime default. Second is localhost and a profile name. Localhost is nothing but where I have placed my profile etc apparmor.d in my previous slide, right? So if you look at my previous slide, right, I have placed my profile in this location and loaded, right? So basically here, this one. And the third one is unconfined. What is this unconfined is, I don't want to use any no profile. So my pod should not bother about any profiles to be loaded. My pod should have everything. So that means use this. So this unconfined is not recommended for the production because you are not using any profile. That means this guy, this container may lead to anything. So this was the overall. Then we'll see the commands. So its commands are pretty simple. So systemctl, if you wanted to check the status, so let's go to the here. So it's a 2-node cluster. First of all, I will SSH into my worker node, right? So just bear with me a second, and I am inside the worker node, so which is Ubuntu 20.3, right? So now I will clear. Now I am in a node 01. So first step is I wanted to check whether AppArmor is installed or not. So how do I check? Sudo systemctl status AppArmor, right? Yes, it's active. So here AppArmor I have not installed. It's came by default with the Ubuntu 20.04, this worker node. So in the current latest version of most of the Linux machines is already installed, and it is there by default. Now the second step is it's installed, but whether it's this kernel module is loaded or not, how do I check? So cat system, so here it's there already, system module AppArmor parameters enabled, system module AppArmor parameters enabled or not, something like a sentence, system module AppArmor parameters enabled or not. Yes, it's enabled. So that means AppArmor is installed in the node 01 and it's ready to tackle the AppArmor. Now all good. Now I wanted to see the AppArmor status. So AppArmor status, AA-status is a very simple command. AA-status mod, you do not have enough privilege. Yes, it's sudo command. So AA-status, right? So if you observe here, AA status, this command is tells AppArmor status. What is the status of AppArmor in this node 01? In this status, 31 profiles are loaded. Yes, as we discussed in the theory, AppArmor is nothing but profiles. So here total 31 profiles are loaded, and 31 out of 31 are enforced mode. So these all are enforced mode, right? And one thing here you notice here is some of the paths are different, some of the paths are simple names. Say so these are the, and compliant mode, 0 profiles are compliant mode, but the 2 processes have been denied. Why denied? Maybe these are the enforced profiles are denying these 2 processes, right? And so it's a kind of a summary short report. Now I wanted to see where the profiles are there, these profiles. So as we discussed in the theory, right, here ls etc, so it's a sudo ls etc AppArmor.d, right? So let's do the sudo long list. Let's see. Oops, long list, it doesn't work here. So right, see, if you look at the AppArmor D folder, right? So otherwise let's switch to that folder, right? ll, right? This is the one. So now AA-status, right? Oops, again I need to sudo. So basically here in my etc AppArmor D, there is a NVIDIA mode probe. There is a profile, right? NVIDIA mode probe. This profile is there. So if you go and cat this, right, you will see. Now, so as per the demo, now we will see and create one profile. So as we discussed in the theory, this is the AppArmor profile. So now I wanted to create one profile. So I am already in the etc AppArmor folder, right? So now I will clear. Now sudo vi, and I wanted to give a profile name as the same name as a whatever the documentation is given. I put here, and I'll just copy paste include here, right? So I'll paste it here. So simple as it is, all the file writes will be denied, right? So now I will close this. Now ls-l, it's there, this profile is there. Perfect. Now I have created a profile. Now next step is what? I have to load. What is the loading command? Is a very simple AppArmor_parser and give the path. That's it. So here, what is the Q here? Q means quiet. So here I wanted to load app underscore. So before app underscore parser, AppArmor underscore parser, sorry. Yes. Right, so parser and then etc, so AppArmor.d, and then this is the profile name, right? No extension. Oh sorry, I need to do the root privilege because I am logged in as a Vagrant user, right? So now it's loaded, right? So how do I know whether this profile is loaded or not. So now what I will do is I will just clear, type sudo AA-status. See, my AppArmor profile is successfully loaded. Now the next step is I have to create a pod definition file and apply a annotation. So now what I will do is I will come back to the root directory, which is my home directory. Now what I will do is vi pod.yaml. So now I will create a one pod. What I will do is I will just copy the pod definition YAML file. And now, right, so what I will do is now first of all I will create a pod without annotation, then I will test. So in order to comment that, I just need to simply, right, so simply I need to hash, means it's comment. So what I will do is I'll just try to, instead of comment, I'll try to delete this annotation. So right, so now this is a simple pod app, hello AppArmor, and the container name is hello, and just simply echo. Right, now I will just right, so now cat pod.yaml, right, perfect. Now kubectl apply -f pod.yaml, right, now created. Now kubectl get pod, right, now my pod is running, perfect. Now I wanted to test, so kubectl execute, I will go inside the pod, execute in interactive mode, and I wanted to open a shell. Now here ls-l, so here, right, cat otherwise touch, say test, right, now my test file is there, right, now exit. So now what I will do is now I can able to write, right, I will go inside again, ls, my test file is there, so touch, say echo 1 2 3 4 5 something, and then redirect to a file called test2 dot, say txt, right, now ls-l test2.txt, now cat test2. So now I can able to create, say mkdir -p gvr, I wanted to create a directory, right, say ls-l, now I have a directory creation rights, file creation rights, etc., right, and also rm, I wanted to create a gvr directory, I have a, sorry, what happened, oh, rm directory gvr, right, so now ls-l, now my gvr directory also removed. So now I have all the rights. Now what I will do is now kubectl get pod, now one pod is running, right, now I will apply this AppArmor and then see. So I'll just simply copy this, so just simply I will vi pod2.yaml, I'll just simply create a new YAML which has a, so I don't want to, I will remove this comment, no need, right. So I have added an annotation with the hello means here, and where is this my profile is loaded, localhost is nothing but my etc AppArmor D profile location, and this name is matching, perfect, right. Now first of all now I need to delete, so delete the pod, then only kubectl delete pod, this one. So now this pod will be deleted, then after that I will reapply the pod2.yaml which is with my AppArmor enabled. So just bear with me a second. Now pod is deleted, now kubectl apply -f this pod2.yaml which is with the, right, now created. Now kubectl, so I'll try to get pod my AppArmor which is created. Now kubectl describe pod hello AppArmor, oh sorry, I need to, alias is not there, right, I'm in a node, So right, so now it's there, right? So basically now here basically AppArmor profile is enabled. So now how do I test this? So what I will do is I will go inside the pod kubectl execute it and AppArmor same, and now I'll go inside ls here. Now I'll try to create a touch test. What is saying? Permission denied. Now I'll try in different way. Echo hello AppArmor redirect to say test2.txt. Still permission denied. mkdir-p gvr, still permission denied. Say I wanted to just delete the temp directory. So let's see. cdtmp. I will go inside. List is not there. So touch. So I'll come back from the cd ls. Say what I will do is I will try to delete the rmdir tmp. Permission denied. So why it's permission getting denied? Because this particular pod has restricted the access to the kernel specific commands. What are the commands here? I am doing touch mkdir. So these are the access related. So here only if this hello AppArmor is a web server or anything, right? So that means it's restricted. So now hacker won't be able to do anything. So and based on the your use case, say I want to access to only temp directory, nothing else. These are all the system folder, right? Only temp is the user can allow. Then you go to the profile and then here allow the temp directory with the right access, and nothing, everything else you deny it. So this is the one way of achieving the kernel hardening as a part of a system hardening. So this is the what the, and how do I delete this particular that's one, right? Then go to the presentation AppArmor -R, then it will delete. So let's see that. So now, right, cd sudo AppArmor _ parser -R, then etc AppArmor.d, and then what is this name? The big name which I gave from, copied from the documentation, right? This guy, right? So basically, right? Oops. Sorry, my bad. Right, now it's deleted. How do I know whether it's a deleted or not? Sudo -status. It's not there, right? Docker and all. And maybe you can ask, there are some folders, these profiles are located different. How do I do that? It's very simple. Whenever you are enabling the profile AppArmor _ parcel, means whenever you are loading, you can specify the location. And if you wanted to do it on the complaint mode, how do I do? -complaint and in its directory. So here if you look at the snapd directory, some are user bin directory, some are in user lib. Yes, you can place the AppArmor profile anywhere, but basic thing is whenever you are loading, you must pass the appropriate path. That's what the, if you want to enforce, by default is enforce, you need not to take a special precaution. In case of complaint, -complaint, all these commands are in the AppArmor documentation. So AppArmor documentation is this guy, right? So here I will go here. This is a documentation. Say if you wanted to check about the profile, right? Here AppArmor getting started, quick note about the profile. So click here, I'm clicked on the profiles. So you can create a profile like how to add the comment and how to add the folder restrictions and all. Everything is very detailed. Network rule if you wanted to apply, right? Any specific rule you want to, all you just read the documentation. See, directory star, and if you wanted to restrict the JPEG file, PNG files, all you can just refer this documentation. And a command, say you don't know about how to use the AppArmor, say enforce or complaint. So just click it here, and this documentation give you the nice explanation and what is the parameters to pass, path to profiles and all, right? So that's how you can do all these commands. So everything is commands are available in the official documentation and my page, and you can search anywhere in the Google, you will be able to find. And there is a one point is, sometimes you may not be using a AppArmor profile. Sometimes you may be using a shell scripts where you wanted to add it as a enable. Here root.addData.sh, this is a shell script file. I wanted to enable as a profile. Yes, you can do that by using AppArmor. This one. Say if you wanted to create by using whatever this one. So in order to do that, you need to use AA-gen profile, because AppArmor cannot understand directly this shell script file. So first what you will do, you will take a shell script, it will create a profile. Then after that you need to AppArmor_parser you need to do enable. So in that way basically it will load as a profile. Then you go to the Kubernetes pod and then apply. Right. I hope this is helpful, and let me know your feedback as a comments. Thank you all for listening. Thank you. Bye bye.